15 years. That is the time it takes for an average American to earn $1 million. But we don't have that time. So maybe you could try becoming a commercial pilot. On average, commercial pilots in the US make over $120,000 a year, which means you could make $1 million in just under 100 months of work. But if we wanna make $1 million as fast as possible, we're gonna have to go bigger, to something like a dentist. At this point, you're making more money than 95% of people in the world. Your $200,000 yearly salary is enough to comfortably afford a large modern house in most parts of the world. You also drive an entry-level Porsche and go on 1 or 2 international vacations a year. But there's still this one thought you have that you just can't shake off. What if you'd gone to medical school? What if you became a surgeon instead? Becoming a surgeon would have effectively doubled your yearly salary, which means 2.5 years and you've made $1 million. Your $400,000 salary now lets you own a luxury home in many cities around the world. And that Porsche you drove as a dentist, well, you've now replaced it with a Lamborghini Urus. And with all this hard work you've been putting in, you deserve some relaxing. So you book yourself a business class ticket to a nice vacation in Europe. You feel like you've completed life. You live in a luxury house, drive a $250,000 car, and you've just spent your vacation in a 5-star resort. Until it's time to go back to work. You're on your 12-hour shift, and still, all you can think about is that vacation. All you have right now is that wish of just one more day. That wish to work from anywhere you desire. But wait, that's exactly what Tyler is doing right now. Tyler owns a multi-million-dollar software company, and it now generates him over $1 million a year. He's achieved financial freedom. He lives in a mansion, and today he's working for his beachfront villa in the Maldives. He's bought his dream car, a Ferrari F8 Tribito. Tyler doesn't have to worry about work anymore, as he has more than 50 employees doing that for him, while he focuses on the big decisions for the company. He also has more than $3 million invested, bringing in an extra $200,000 a year from his investments alone. It seems like Tyler has it all. He works for himself, he's a multi-millionaire, and doesn't have to worry about work. But even at this level, there's still something holding him back. Because the business still depends on him for things like management and important decisions. But then he got an offer. Tyler has just been offered $12 million for ownership of his entire company. You see, this was an offer by a businessman named Jeff, someone called a holding company owner. Basically, instead of building businesses from scratch, Jeff buys businesses that are already successful and scales them to bring in even more profit. Jeff owns 4 companies, a software company, a logistics company, a marketing agency, and now he's just added Tyler's software company to the portfolio. Every company in Jeff's portfolio generates its own revenue and profits. Together, the 4 companies Jeff owns generate just under $20 million in profits every year, with Jeff taking just around $5 million of that for himself. Jeff mostly invests into real estate, with over $15 million in investments. But at this level, he also personally lives in an over $10 million Beverly Hills mansion. But that's just his primary home. He also owns a luxury penthouse in New York and spends his vacations in a $3 million chalet in the Swiss Alps. Jeff always flies private when he travels, so he's planning to purchase a $15 million private jet in the future. And because money isn't a problem anymore, he also owns a Ferrari SF90, Lamborghini Revuelto, and a Rolls-Royce Phantom for good measure. Jeff is part of the 0.1% of earners worldwide, but even he knows that there's always another level. A few weeks ago, he met Jake. Jake is everything that Jeff is, but on a larger scale. He owns 14 successful companies compared to Jeff's 4, allowing him to make more than twice as much. His portfolio generates over $40 million in profit every year, allowing him to take home around $10 million himself. Jake's lifestyle isn't that much different than Jeff's. He still owns a lot of real estate, drives crazy cars, and flies private. With the biggest difference, once again, being the scale. Not only does Jake own a private jet and a yacht, he also has more than 1,000 people working across all his 14 companies. And to top it all off, his investments make him an extra $5 million a year. Although it might look like it, this isn't the top. Actually, it isn't even close. This is David. He took a completely different path than Jake, and realistically, his work is a lot simpler. David owns a hedge fund, which very simply said is a company that invests money for rich people. And when those investments make money, his hedge fund takes a percentage of the profits. And over the last decade, David built a reputation as one of the best investors in the country. And as more and more wealthy people started trusting him with their money, his hedge fund started making him over $100 million a year. This is the level where the wealth starts becoming difficult to comprehend. David lives with no financial limits, living in a $50 million oceanfront estate in California with luxury homes in New York, London, and Dubai. He owns a Gulfstream private jet, a 250-foot super yacht, and flies between his homes whenever he wants. But that doesn't make his life any less stressful, as one wrong investment decision can make or lose hundreds of millions of dollars. And that's exactly why David relies on a team of over 200 investment professionals to avoid any pricey mistakes. At this point, we've looked at it all, from the average person to a hedge fund manager making over $100 million a year, working for some of the wealthiest people on the planet. And that's the last piece of this puzzle, the wealthiest people on the planet. These people don't have a specific salary, and even if they did, it wouldn't tell you how rich they actually are. This is Mark. Over 20 years ago, he started a small website called Facebook. As millions of people joined, the company kept growing, acquiring platforms like Instagram and WhatsApp. Today, billions of people use them every month, making the company one of the most valuable businesses ever created. And because Mark still owns a large part of his companies, he's now become one of the richest people in the world. That was a short summary about the 5th richest man on the planet. And unlike any of the fictional characters on this list, Mark Zuckerberg's enormous wealth came from founding and holding onto a single company for so long that he watched it grow into one of the biggest in the world. And not only did that success make him incredibly wealthy, it also gave him the resources to make the multi-billion-dollar purchases that helped him get to where he is today. At Mark's level, money has almost no impact on what he can or can't afford, whether it's a $300 million yacht, multiple private jets, or a portfolio of luxury homes. He can buy almost anything he wants. But that's not necessarily what makes him different. The company he built employs over 70,000 people, serves billions of users every month, and is worth well over $1 trillion. Mark is one of the richest people on earth, and somehow there's someone that's still a level above him and all the other billionaires. This is Elon Musk, one person behind a car company, a rocket company, a satellite internet company, an AI company, a brain-computer company, and that's not even everything. At this point, it's hard to even comprehend the scale of what one person has built, and his net worth definitely reflects that. Everyone wants money, and everyone gets it their own way, and that's why no matter where you are today, there's always another level. Whether you're working to make your first million, or maybe one day, even your first billion, there's always gonna be someone higher than you. So for now, just remember one thing. There really is levels to this shit.